attachment disruptions can happen at any age, and emotional memories are plastic, so the goal of EBT is acquired a secure attachment or neural integration. I'll talk some more about that. Let me just really quickly explain though. We know what secure attachment is. Avoidant attachment, just in a nutshell, about 25% of our population. In essence, we would probably talk in EBT terms as this group of people learning the relational survival circuit of distancing. So in Mary Ainsworth's studies, these babies, when the mom came back, they kind of ignored her. You couldn't tell that was the mother or the stranger the mother, because they treated them both the same. They acted like they didn't care, if the mother was gone or mother was back. But when the researchers studied their heart rate, their blood pressure, those kinds of biomarkers of stress, they realized their stress was over the roof. So these infants, these babies, these children, these toddlers were stressed out, but they had already shown an ability to numb out and distance. And so, of course, that's what we're going to see in our groups. People who've learned to numb, basically, in that 5 state. And then that's about 25% of the population, and about 20% of the population are anxiously, insecurely attached. And these are the, if you go to the Ainsworth study, you see these are the kids that are kind of clinging to their caregiver. But interestingly enough, so they cling to their caregiver when their caregiver returns, and, express affect, worry and concern and upset. And the researchers, take a study of their biomarkers. Sure enough, they're in the stress response, but they can't get comfort. It's very interesting because they can't get comfort. The securely attached get stressed. They run up to their caregiver and they calm down when they're in their caregiver's presence, when they're in their caregiver's arms. But the anxiously attached toddlers, little ones, can't calm down. They can't go back to homeostasis. And so, these tend to be folks in our offices that hyper-arouse, lots of feelings, have a hard time seeking that support to have their feelings actually go back to balance, and getting the balance, getting the support they need. And then there's the 5% disorganized attachment, and these are folks where actually their main source of stress and trauma in their life came from their primary caregivers, and so it's very disorganizing neurobiologically, because here's supposed to be your safe haven, and actually it's the scariest thing in your life. And we can talk about that a little bit more later. I'm going to try to hurry here because I know I'm probably taking too much time. So our goals towards secure attachment is, number 1, self-regulation. Self-regulation, and so much of what we do in EBT, really all that we do in EBT, helps us build those secure wires of self-regulation. Being able to move into lower states and then back up to homeostasis. Every time we do a check-in, every time we use a tool, that's what we're doing. We're rewiring for self-regulation. Then there's vagal tone here, strengthening the vagal tone, which is the vagus nerve, our ability. It's really the self-regulation, our ability to calm our own heart, to reconnect with ourselves, to reconnect with other people, to soothe and comfort ourselves from the inside, to feel compassion and loving feelings. These are, it's not about being a good person or a bad person. It's about how strong is our vagal tone, whether we can actually feel that compassion and that love for another one. At laterality, meaning we're really looking at building that left prefrontal cortex dominance, where it's safe to be in our joy. It's safe to feel our good feelings. Because again, if you grew up and had more of that tendency towards insecure attachment, it's pretty much not going to feel safe to relax, to play, to be in joy. No, you have to kind of be on your guard. And Michael Meany's work is so brilliant, because part of what he pointed out was that it's actually really adaptive and it's evolutionary based. In other words, if your parent is stressed out, then you're going to want to have that kind of sensitivity to stress, that sensitized amygdala, that uh, more greater cortisol rushing through your system, because you're vigilant, you're on your guard, you're ready for stress. Why? Because you grew up in a stressful environment. It's a war zone. You've got to be prepared for war. That's evolutionary based. That's important for your survival, for the survival of the species. So again, we don't want to, there's nothing to condemn here or judge here. It's rather makes perfect sense when you think about it for those who grew up with insecure attachment and have that kind of sensitivity to the stress response, reasonable to expect, given their history and background.